What's up, guys? So I'm going to do an update real quick on actually a few coins, Bitcoin, Neo, Icon, as well as Deep Brain Chain. Um, this is They're just popular requests, so I might as well just go through all of them at the same time. But first up, our big boy, Bitcoin. Um, it seems like it's been dropping. I'll hit the refresh button. The overall entire market, crypto market cap, is a little over 700 billion right now. And if you guys didn't know, recently coinmarketcap.com just removed three big Korean crypto exchanges from their data. So the prices that you see are excluding pretty much South Korea. I guess because their prices are bigger, they didn't really say anything. It went kind of quiet. But regardless, that created a whole domino effect of FUD. And so things started to drop as of a couple days ago. um, but first and foremost, the market cap for Bitcoin has been relatively stagnant for the most part. I think it got close to 300 billion when it was up at 17,000 for the price tag. Right now, it's around 240 billion with just over 14,000 price tag. Of course, this is the global average, excluding South Korea. We're probably more interested in looking at Coinbase, as most people in the U.S. are using Coinbase as their source of Bitcoin. But one thing to note real quick is this right here, the Bitcoin dominance of the entire crypto market. Um, if you guys have been using CoinMarketCap since pretty much the summer of 2017 or even earlier than that, Bitcoin was by far the most dominant. It was like 60-70%, I think, at the beginning of 2017, and then it slowly made its way down lower and lower, and right now it stands at just about 34% of this entire market cap. At just 240 billion. In other words, money is flowing out of Bitcoin and moving into the altcoins and tokens. not a not a real surprise, but that's why recently all of these little coins that are like pennies have been flying up like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times even. So if you rode the wave, you probably made a good amount of money during the last week ever since New Year. I do believe that this is going to drop, that Bitcoin will not be as dominant anymore. I'm thinking by the end of 2018, Bitcoin will go to about 20% of the entire crypto market. Now that doesn't mean that Bitcoin's going to continue to drop. It could very well just mean that it will just remain stagnant at around 240, 250 billion. And more money will just get poured into the entire market, the entire crypto market. That could be the case. Or Bitcoin could really just drop. We don't know. But I do think that Bitcoin is getting to a point where that's not the only coin that people know anymore, and they're starting to look into other things, like actually what are the products and services that certain crypto companies are offering, and do they have a long term? Are they sustainable long term? Are they actually going to grow? And people are looking into those things and investing into it as if they're like stocks for a company. And I feel like actually that's actually the right move. So there would be less volatility. There was someone that made a point that we need something like Bitcoin to sort of be stable, almost like a blue chip of stocks, or the blue chip of cryptocurrency. So that way, as we buy Bitcoin, the price will be less volatile, and we're able to just exchange it for other cryptocurrencies. Well, anyways, that was just a quick update on all this stuff. Ethereum recently came up. It's at a new all-time high. Actually, it's been hitting all-time highs every day for the last almost a week now. So if you're holding on to Ethereum, I guess keep holding on to it. It's been working. It hasn't been dropping. It's just keep going up. Move back to second place. Ripple moved down to third place. Ripple was, I think, at $130 billion market cap when it was at its all-time high at like $3.50 or so, and it's dropped significantly, quite a bit. As you can see, this is the last 24 hours. It's dropped 24%. A lot of things have dropped as well. Cardano has dropped. Neo has been going up, and Icon is making its way up, little by little, but surely making its way up. And I'll get into those in a little bit. But first, let's take a look at some technicals for Bitcoin. So I like using Bitfinex just because I feel like it's more accurate when drawing out the technicals and comparing it. I use Coinbase as well, only because the prices are what we're more interested in, because chances are that's probably what you're going to buy it at. But as far as analysis goes, I use Bitfinex just because it seems to be more accurate in being able to project where it might go. So this is on the daily time frame. You know, you're familiar with this already. Recently, it came up, and now it has been going down, right? People are asking if it's going to continue to go down further. Is it going to drop below 14,000? Is it going to go to 13,000? Well, let's take a look. I'm going to go into 4 hours and see what we can find here. As you guys know, I like using fib retracements, and recent big drop to an all-time high. This is it, right? And you can see here when it dropped down from its all-time high, 0.382 fib level, right? And then it started making its way up, started doing its thing. I think the true reversal occurred somewhere over here, where this greenish bar is, and that's mostly because if you draw trend lines, I'm drawing trend lines, from there, matching up with resistance there, and continuing down, somewhere right around there, it broke out of that trend line. So a reverse happened. It started making higher lows and higher highs from before, right? And they got up to right around here, which is, I call it the magic wall, only because 17,250 is a very, very unique and specific price point. I remember when it was on its way up to an all-time high, there were a lot of orders that kept fluctuating, but then it always came back to very, very specifically 17,250, like right on the dot. I don't know why that price point is so significant, but I do know it likes to gravitate towards that. So as it came up, I knew it was going to hit 17,250. Whether it went past that, wasn't sure. And if we look in the smaller time frames, we look at the smaller time frames, yep, a lot of resistance there. You see the wicks resistance right there. Right here is where a little past 17,000, but this was the absolute top. And then it started making its way down, forming this sort of bearish trend that everyone seems to just is so afraid of. So let's draw a little trend line right here. Seems like it's going down. It's intact, right? Like right here is where we're at. It seems like it's just going to continue to go down. It dropped pretty far right here, got rejected. It was like, nope, don't want to go down that far. Quickly came back up, but still has a lot of bearish volume. And right now, it's doing a lot of this little zigzag thingy, consolidating, because it's, and you can see the wicks on the bottom. It's getting rejected from going below this, right? Going below 14 grand essentially. But let's come back up to a higher time frame and let's see if we can figure something else out. Okay, so overall, it's going up, right? I know it sounds crazy to think about. Overall, it's going up. Here's why. Match that up. I'll make this thicker so you can see it. Okay, support, 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 right? Following this trend, has not broken this support yet, the support trend line. We're right here right now. If it falls down to, 13.1, 13,000-ish, and it breaks down and falls below that, that's when I would start panicking and going, all right, Bitcoin might be in a decline right now. Probably not the best idea to hold it. But it hasn't quite gotten there yet. In fact, we're already seeing rejection here at the 14,000 price point. So based on this alone, we can tell that it's still bullish. It's still following this trend line. Technically, it may take a while, but Bitcoin is still going up, right? These are the lows, 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 making higher lows, right? And the highs, with the exception of this one, it's trending up. It's making higher highs. So bullish overall. We break it down to a smaller time frame. Actually, let's take it one step back. So because recently it broke this trend line and technically it's a reversal and it's going up, we now draw a different trend line, because with every trend line that is broken, you draw a new one. Right there. Match up with that resistance point. I'll drag this out a little farther. Right there. Put this out a little more. Right there. All right. Giant symmetrical triangle. If you don't know what a symmetrical triangle is, it's essentially just a consolidation stage. Has to break out of this triangle in order to go in a direction either bullish or bearish. And then you'll see overall where Bitcoin is really going. Right now, while it's still in there, we can speculate all we want. We can do all the analysis. But for the long term, it's just going to hover between these two lines and just bounce back and forth until it gets to the apex. Now, it might break out of it before it hits the apex. That's very possible. But as far as we're watching now, it's still within this range, right? Usually, what happens after a symmetrical triangle, after it comes to an end, is it continues on the momentum that it was before it entered into this triangle. So where is that momentum? If you look at this right here, that's the momentum, right? You can even say that this here is the momentum. And if that's the case, bullish. It's going to go up. Usually. That's barring any like crazy fear, uncertainty, or doubt. Any crazy news like a major country decides to ban something. Again. Or new regulations from the US or something like that. Then as long as we're still bouncing between these, once it reaches the end, we're going up. Right now, we're following this minor trend line, and it's going down. We want to know where it's going to stop. I believe that when it hits this major trend line, support trend line here, that it's the absolute bottom. It may not even get down that far. It might just be where it's at now, and I'm running out of battery. But all right, just gotta charge. So uh, let's draw a couple more trend lines, and we'll go from there. So there's a small little one. I'm gonna go in a 30-minute time frame, and let's just do something like that. Right. Yeah. Kind of small. But like I said, higher lows, right? This is just a small measurement of where it's been about the last couple weeks. Last week, actually. Last week, week and a half. Still kind of going up, you know? It's not really going down that much. But you can see it's almost running parallel with the major bullish trend line. It's a good sign. It's a good sign. If it falls below this zone right here, I think that's a really good buy zone, because chances are it's going to go up. Right now, if you were to look at the MACD, stochastic momentum, even RSI, I don't have the RSI right now, but even if you looked at it, I'm pretty sure all time frames, even the 4-hour time frame, is in oversold territory right now. That is a good sign that it's about to reverse. I never look at the daily because Bitcoin has been going up so much in the last year that the daily has just always been above in overbought territory, right? But recently it's come down so close to neutral that I will no longer call this a bubble. Not really, unless you look at the weekly time frame, and then you're like, okay, yeah. But where it's at right now, it seems to be holding this 14,000 mark. Actually, it's 13,900 on Bitfinex. But I think if you check on Coinbase, let's go to GDAX. Coinbase price is, yep, 14,000. Hasn't fallen below that. I don't think it has. Yeah, it's gotten close to 14 flat, but hasn't fallen below that. So it's Bitfinex is like a couple $100 less than Coinbase for some reason, but it's holding. It's holding. There is a support there, and you can see it. It keeps getting rejected. I rejected big time there. So I'm gonna put a little support line right there, just so we can measure. Now, if you follow this trend line here and this one here, it's gonna get to a point where, let's go to 15-minute actually, see more details. See, it's getting rejected. It's consolidating right now. That's so interesting, pretty proportionally. It's gonna get to this apex here, and it's gotta go somewhere. Let's see if we can figure out where that's going. So this right here is sort of a descending wedge, right? It's got a downward, predominantly downward, but it's not quite flat. Not quite. I guess, actually, let's see if we can make this a little more accurate. There we go. It's not quite flat. So I wouldn't really call this a descending triangle. There's a difference between descending triangle and descending wedge. If you didn't know that, go Google it, look it up. A lot of people use it interchangeably, but they actually mean the opposite. A descending triangle would be, that wasn't there, and I followed this support line. This would be a descending triangle. What usually happens is the price would just hit this point, get rejected, come back up, hit this point, get rejected, and it'll keep doing that, but it keeps going lower on average until it gets to a point where there are no more there are no more buyers. This floor here breaks, and the sellers continue to persist. That's a descending triangle. Now, if you're looking at a descending wedge, however, it's usually something along the lines like this. Oh look, it kind of crossed over a little bit. That's funny. Descending wedge is something that's predominantly aiming downward, but it's not completely like it's going down. Resistance are going down much sharper than the support is. So for example, if it for some reason did this, so I'm looking at the price right now, it looks like it's coming down. If it came down here, this area, this would still be a descending wedge. A descending wedge, at the end of a descending wedge, it reverses and then starts to ascend. This is what I'm seeing it as right now. So it is quite possible that that's going to happen. As I'm recording this, it looks like Bitcoin is dropping. Look at GDAX, it's exactly at the 14,000 right now. This is perfect because I'm pretty sure it's going to drop below this 14,000. Just watching the volume here, and seeing how the formation's coming about. Yeah, it's going to drop below this 14,000. Let's look at the orders. Solid wall here. 220 Bitcoins being sold for 14,000, and only about 70 Bitcoins for being sold up here. Solid wall. I have a feeling this wall is going to get eaten up. See, it's dropping already. It's going to get eaten up and it's going to fall fast. Very, very fast. Oh, look, it's only 50. Let's watch this go. Boom! There it is. Just dropped $70. Look at all these sell orders. Jeez. 13,900. It's going to keep on dropping. That's exciting. Don't panic yet. It's making its way towards this major bullish trend line. That's so perfect that I just caught this as I'm recording. But if it does, I won't need that anymore. If it does, you're gonna see it come. You're gonna see it come around right around here, and then bounce off of that and come back up. I don't think that there's enough bear volume because we're technically bullish overall for it to break this trend line. So it's just going to hit this trend line and then bounce up. Anything near this trend line is a great buy for Bitcoin because it's just going to go up from there. And it should probably shatter this small minor trend line here. So we'll see where it goes in a little bit. But that's where we're at for Bitcoin. And one more thing I want to show you is fib on the recent. You know how my favorite fib level is the 0.382 right here? Notice how when it came down, it suddenly dropped to 0.382. And that's actually right where we're at right now. Like absolutely like right now. It's right there at that fib level. It might not even come down to test this bullish trend line. It might just start going back up. But I actually do think it will come down and touch that. It's so close. Yeah. There are a lot of other altcoins out there, such as Ripple, that follows Bitcoin very similarly. So as Bitcoin drops, Ripple is going to drop. But before I go into Ripple, oh look, it's going down. Before I get into Ripple, let's finish up with Bitcoin. I still believe that it's going to hit that 20,000 mark of its all-time high, and even go beyond that. Yeah. I just think it will take a little while longer, but so far as we can see, still bullish, still gonna go follow this trend line, it's going to go up. All right, now let's take a look at Ripple. If you guys didn't know, if you guys aren't using this, coinmarketcal.com. This calendar based on whatever cryptocurrencies you've selected, and if they have an announcement or something coming up, you can usually find it here. You can see the proof and the source, and if it's validated and how many votes there are, whether it's legit or not. So I got a couple selected like Neo, Bitcoin, Ripple, Icon, um, and Deep Brain Chain. So today, well, it's midnight right now, so technically it's the 10th. There's a Bitcoin, I believe, airdrop. Yeah, Bitcoin Rhodium. I have no idea what this is. You can go check it out. Doesn't seem like it's that popular. It doesn't seem like it's legit either. But Neo has a London meetup. There's no real info on that, but you might be able to see Neo go up. But for Ripple, they're listing on DMM. DMM is a large entertainment website, media website. They have about 27 million users on that site. Right, that's larger than the number of users on Coinbase, I believe. And DMM is going to launch 6 new currencies for trading, basically opening up their brand new, like their own exchange. So think of it this way. It's like Amazon deciding to create their own exchange, and then they decide to list 6 cryptocurrencies on there. That's kind of what's happening in Japan. Why is this so important to note? It's important because Ripple and Bitcoin both recently has been falling, and it has gone into the oversold territory. With this launch of the new exchange, we can expect and anticipate to see a huge amount of volume get pumped right back into Bitcoin and Ripple, both. That's not to say that all 27 million users that's on DMM right now are going to, in fact, let's go to their website. Actually, I don't even know what their website is, but let's go to source. It's important because Ripple is being used heavily in Japan and in Korea, right? We'll come here first. Ripple right now is about 70 billion market cap. Actually 68 billion. It's dropped 2 billion since I've started recording this video. So it's been going down, but one thing to pay attention here is Ripple being traded by the Korean won, right? Predominantly in Korea. Ripple is predominantly traded in Korea, heavily, compared to the rest of the world. Right, here's Korea again. If you look at Japan, right here, first up. Not a lot of volume in Japan. However, Ripple is being used on an enterprise level between Korea and Japan heavily, predominantly in Asia, right? So we can expect that with the launch of this exchange, or you can speculate, I guess, there's going to be heavy volume going into Ripple the moment that this launches, and that's technically today. It'll be January 11th in Japan, but it'll be January 10th here in the US. Yeah, so we don't know if all 27 million users are going to start trading, on DMM, but even if a fraction of that does, or if new people decide to jump on a new exchange, that's very well possible too in Japan. And we'll see probably a jump up. That's what I'm anticipating, and that's also what I'm anticipating for Bitcoin, at least to a certain degree. So the reversal is coming, and it looks like, going back to Bitcoin, it is holding right at that 0.382 level. That's so funny that it's almost exactly right there, and it's just not going any further down. I might have just jinxed it. Yeah, I'm gonna put this line right there. I might have just jinxed it, but we'll see. But let's take a look at Ripple. Ripple USD. This is Bittrex. That's clicking. We'll go with Bittrex. Look at this fall. Look at this drop. Huge, huge drop. It's a correction, right? I mean, Ripple's been flying. No matter what happens throughout Christmas and New Year's, it just kept going up. And it's finally dropping now that the other altcoins are, you know, rallying up and whatnot. I'm not sure how far this thing will go down, but it's going down pretty sharply, and it's doing a descending wedge, like I was telling you. Do that. And then draw another one. Further out. All right. You can see that there's a descending wedge action going on. It'll probably just kind of do its thing, but this is pretty clear. It's a descending wedge, and at the end of the descending wedge, it starts going up. It reverses and goes up. Yes, to what it was before. So I'm anticipating with the announcement tomorrow and the launch of the new exchange, Ripple is going to come back up and recover. I don't know if it will actually break the all-time high again. People are speculating that it will, and it'll go to like $4 territory, but that would take an enormous amount of volume, which wouldn't be surprising actually, given that it is Japan. So I do know a lot of people who have just bought a ton of Ripple tonight, anticipating the the jump, the pop tomorrow. We'll see if that stands true. So that's Ripple. Let's go to, really quickly, this video is taking too long. Let's go to NEO. Let's look at NEO's price. Oh, NEO came back down. Interesting, everything's coming down. NEO has hit a all-time high recently of 130. That was really nice. I think if you got in at 100 or less than that, you're looking pretty good. Big plans coming for NEO. Let's get the calendar. It's London meetup today. NEO developer workshop tomorrow, and then Hamburg meetup the day after, Amsterdam meetup. There's a lot of things going on. If you didn't know about NEO, they are their own platform, their own blockchain. They're basically China's Ethereum. I've seen this thing go from $30 up to 100 plus right now, and it seems to be falling really hard and fast right now. Oh look, that's why. It's totally in oversold territory by far. So coming back down this far, it's just correcting itself. Nothing, I feel like it's gonna hit support right there. Right here, see previous resistance, right? This is where it's at. Let's zoom in. That's where it's at. It's gonna come down to right around there at $109, maybe 108 area, and maybe just hover there for a little bit. NEO has, I believe, 23 ICOs on its blockchain coming out this year alone. Big plans are coming. You could probably find a ton of videos and a ton of hype going on with NEO right now, claiming that it's going to go to like $1,000 by the end of 2018. right? And it's only 100 right now, so you can possibly 10 times your money. I don't know if it will go out that far. Here's what I think. If you look at, go to CoinMarketCap, and remember, this is excluding South Korea's exchanges, right? So we're basing only on the rest of the world. NEO is at just under, actually I'm gonna hit the refresh button because I'm sure that's lower now. All right, 7,400,000. Let's compare this to something worth comparing to, such as Cardano or Ethereum, because Cardano is Japan's Ethereum, right? And where it's at right now is pretty overpriced because they don't have that many things going on for them this year in 2018 as compared to NEO. That's why there's so much hype with NEO, because there's going to be a lot of breakthroughs. If NEO was to catch up to Cardano, where it's currently at right now, 18 billion, that's about 2.5 times, yeah, 2.5 times its market cap, right? 2.5 times its current price. So if you're buying at like 100, you're looking at maybe 250, and I think that's minimum for the year 2018, because we're just in the beginning and we've already seen a ton of things happen, like Cardano flying up to number 5. I believe Cardano actually hit like 25 billion a couple days ago, and then it just started trickling down. I do believe that NEO can reach those levels, right? So it's you're looking at NEO possibly, I'm speculating here, going to $250, maybe even by the end of the first quarter of 2018, pretty easily. People are speculating 1,000. I wouldn't even be surprised if it hits that point by the end of 2018. Here's why. Look at Ethereum. Ethereum right now is only at, it's at its all-time high, yes, about 126 billion, right? If NEO can at least penetrate, I don't know, 20% of where it's currently, where Ethereum's currently at, you're looking at about, yeah, about 25 billion. That's about, let's see, 3 to 4, 3.5 times this price. I think it's very possible that it can do that. In fact, I think NEO can actually take more than 20% of Ethereum's market. But that's also assuming that Ethereum stays stagnant for the rest of the year. Chances are the crypto market's going to increase big time. We all know that for 2018. And Ethereum being number 2 might very well go very close to being number 1. And if that's the case, NEO is going to ride the wave along with it. So it's possible that this thing can go from where it's at right now, just over $100 per NEO, to $400, $500, $600, $700. Very reasonable, very, very reasonable. On that note, I want to talk about one of my favorites, which is Icon. If you don't know about Icon, you should really look into it. And there's a reason why you don't know about it. It's because they just ICO'd in October, and I think it was only like, it was very, 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 very little. I think it was less. It was either about $1 or less than $1. Let's take a look. When it ICO'd, it was less than $1. It was about 40 cents. All right, and now it is $10 to $12 ish. Icon is South Korea's Ethereum. They have a lot of things going on for them. In fact, they are probably poised to be better than NEO. So we got a lot of hope in NEO. Look into Icon, because they're probably going to be ahead of NEO in the long term. I don't know if that will happen this year or not. Right now, they're currently just a token piggybacking off of the Ethereum blockchain. But their mainnet announcement is later this month in January, where they'll become their own independent blockchain, and you'll start to see some things coming out from Icon. My suggestion, get in before mainnet. You got a couple weeks left. get in before mainnet, because you probably will not see it at these price levels ever again. I think the potential for Icon to grow is far, far higher than, well, not far, far higher, but much higher than Neo. In fact, I think it can even be comparable to Ethereum. And just for fun, if you were to look at the current Icon market cap, it's sitting right now at number 15. It's just about $4 billion, right? Ethereum is about 125 billion. If you were to do the math, that's about what, like, not 10, no, what is it, like 30 times? Yeah, about 30 times. It's, where is it? About 30 times its current price. That puts this $10 at 300. Right, and compared to Neo's price, compared to Ethereum's price, $300 is not that much for one icon. However, I'm just going off of market cap and current price. It's possible, very possible. Don't know when that's going to happen. It could be far in the future, and by that time, Ethereum could be like 3,000-4,000, right? And Neo could be like well over $1,000. But potential is there. Look into it. That's what I would suggest. It recently reached an all-time high as well. Let's actually go take a look at ICX BTC. Yep, at an all-time high. And while everything is dropping right now, it's still sustaining. In fact, it's actually in consolidation right now. Yep, consolidation. I keep thinking that it's going to come back and test this major bullish trend line, because recently, when it actually came up, it came back down, right, and then I matched this trend line. No, I do not. And then it made its way up, and it's still holding this minor trend line here, and this major support trend line is still intact. It's not too late to get into ICX. Still very possible. I love the fact that this thing holds its price even though everything's going down. You know, Dash is going down. Even Ethereum's going down as a correction. Let's see. Litecoin's going down. Neo is going down. Everything's going down. Let's look at Stellar's going down. Ripple's going down. Everything's going down. And actually, let's follow with Ripple. Little rejection right there. Just touch that trend line. Everything is going down. Let's look at Verge. Going down. Everything is going down. Wabi, that's another good one. Still holding, but going down. Yeah, going down. Everything's going down. A couple of them might not be. OST also going down. But ICX, for some reason, is holding its value really well. I speculate and believe part of that is because there isn't a lot of popularity on ICX right now, because it's overshadowed by all the altcoins and the recent, like coins that have been flying up 10 times, 20 times and whatnot. And Neo is kind of actually taking most of the spotlight with so many things launching this year. That not a lot of people know about ICX, and the few that do know ICX, they're long-term hodlers, for sure. I'm one of them. And when everything else drops, they're not selling their ICX, and you can see that right here. Look at this. This thing is just sitting tight. It's not moving. Kind of funny. Compared to Ether, it's kind of dropping. Compared to Ethereum, it's dropping. Bitcoin, not so much. I mean, I think the price is dropping, but it's not dropping faster than Bitcoin, is what this is showing. Yeah. The last thing that I want to show, and unfortunately don't have it, I added it, is deep brain chain. If you don't know what deep brain chain is, this is insane. It's actually built on the Neo platform. This thing has gone up quite a bit, I think from like 10 cents or so to an all-time high of like almost 70 cents. And right now it's dropping as well. But AI, artificial intelligence, look into deep brain chain. I spent way too long in this video. I'm not going to explain too much of it. Dang, it went down to 13.7. Let's go back to Bitcoin and take a look. I think everything just went to hell. Let's take a look. Oops, wrong chart. There it is. Alright. Bitcoin is there. So it fell below the fib level. You can tell that it was hesitating at the fib level because it was waiting there. Prices like to gravitate towards the fib level. Now that it fell down here, I would imagine it will go down to the next fib level, which is 0.236. And if I were to draw a line, I bet you it matches up with the trend line. Would you look at that? Would you look at that? This thing is going to come down and touch both of these. High probability. Right, that's about 13,000. Coinbase will probably show 13,000. Still got a little bit ways to drop, but I have a feeling it's going to come down here and actually tap that. This just adds to the confluence when it's both fib level and major bullish trend line. It's a very strong, it's a stronger possibility that it will actually go there. And then when it does, it might do its little thing again between these, come to the apex, break out, go on top, break out on top. I do remember that there is a block order somewhere here, and that might actually add to the confluence. I spent way too much time on this. I'm not going to go through block orders, but maybe the next video I'll do that. I do want to note one last thing, is that this section right here, oops, this little bit right here, basically where these two matched up. I did say, if you watch my previous videos, I think it was on New Year or something like that, or New Year's Eve, I was talking about how when it broke this trend line, it's going to go up, but it's going to come back down, and it's going to retest that trend line, and most likely it's going to retest that trend line here, where the bullish trend line also meets. Right now we're looking at that possibly happening in this level, this area, which is under 13,000. Like I said, there's nothing to worry about just yet, because you're thinking everything is going to hell and it's dropping. If it goes below this trend line, that's when I start worrying, but it's not there yet. And I'm very positive that it will just bounce off of this, come back up, and eventually break this trend line and head back up, come back and test this new bearish trend line here. So it'll come back up to this area, 16,000 or so, a little over 16,000, mid 16,000. I do anticipate that within the next week or so. And I guess that's good enough for now.